The first thing is the whole development strategy in Africa acted on development aid. And people in Africa and outside started believing Africa is living on the life support from Europe. So we started raising the tax issue after evidence came out that Africa is losing more resources than in the form of aid. We started asking, why is this happening? It has to do with domestic problems, that the tax systems favor the rich, lots of exemptions for the rich, and a lot of tax burden on the poor. And the other one is the practice of multinational companies who legally negotiate tax incentives on the one hand, like tax holiday for 5-10 years. On the other hand, use different mechanisms not to pay even the agreed amount of tax. So through that, these mechanisms, the resources available for government to do development work, to provide social services, is getting weaker and weaker. So to reverse the situation, so that governments have revenue to fulfill their social obligations, we have started raising the tax issue. Multinational companies registered in Europe investing in Africa will tell African government that they are not making profits. For example, by claiming they have paid millions of dollars in the form of financial management services. If you look into it, there is not a single person working this thing somewhere in Europe. They will declare to the African government they have paid millions of dollars for a financial management services they have acquired elsewhere. They will tell African governments that they have borrowed money, sevenfold of what they have invested originally, and then they will pay. They say they are paying interest and debt servicing on this fictive, in my view, loans. All this reduces their tax liability. That some research have shown that multinational companies, for example, in the beer industry, pay less taxes than street beer vendors in some of the African countries. They negotiate tax holidays, tax incentives, which robs countries of possible tax revenue. And then what happens in many cases, they will take a tax holiday for 5 years and they sell it to their sister companies after 5 years when they're about to start paying taxes. We have a homework as Africans to challenge our governments to be accountable, to stop leakage as far as it is within their power by doing away with useless tax incentives, by improving their collection capacity, by being more transparent about it, and by having a progressive social spending plan so that citizens feel their interests and their needs are attended to. This is the homework. The other one is that we work with our partners and allies in the North so that the practice of multinationals, which allows them to shift profits from countries where they are doing their business and secrecy jurisdictions where they make appear their profits. If we hinder that, if tax dodging is minimized at least, which cannot happen by the efforts of individual countries alone, and those who have the muscle, the economic and the political muscle, which can rein in the practice of tax havens, cooperate in that, it means in the long run, reducing aid and supporting African countries to generate their own resources, to use their legitimate due taxes to do the social work for which ODA is planned. So in a way, this is the part of the international work we are doing to work with similar-minded NGOs and other civil society structures in the North to help us combat tax dodging as a universal problem.